Thousands of years before cities, roads, or organized governments existed, the American continent was a massive expanse of raw, unforgiving wilderness. This land was the domain of megafauna. Mammoths and massive predators owned the environment, making it a place where humans were not the masters, but intruders. Into this unknown stepped the first humans, arriving in small, isolated family bands, walking into a territory that offered no safety net. They carried nothing but what they could hold. Every calorie had to be found or fought for, leaving them heavily outnumbered by the wilderness and entirely dependent on the seasons. Long before the rise of great empires, the history of the Americas was defined by a much simpler struggle: the brutal reality of surviving the next 24 hours. Daytime was a relentless physical grind. Nomadic life meant moving constantly, expending massive amounts of energy to track game and gather enough wild berries to stay ahead of starvation. Every stop required intense manual labor. Men and women waded into streams to fish and spent their limited daylight hours building primitive shelters from whatever wood and hides they could scavenge. To bridge the gap between vulnerability and survival, these early people relied on Stone Age technology, a sophisticated intellectual toolset that allowed them to manipulate their environment. The process began with finding the right raw materials, like these rough fragments of flint or chert. Through flint knapping, a maker would strike these stones at precise angles to flake off edges, a skill requiring years of practice to master without shattering the core. The finished product was a slender spearhead like this one. Its razor-sharp, fluted edges allowed a single hunter to pierce the thick hide of a mammoth, securing enough meat to feed a family for weeks. These stones were then bound to bone or wood using animal sinew and resin, creating versatile knives for butchering, hide scraping, and daily utility. Mastering these physical and technological tools provided the leverage needed to move from being wandering targets to becoming the continent's most effective apex predators. At night, the priority shifted. A campfire wasn't just for light, it was a life-saving barrier against predators and the freezing prehistoric air. Survival relied as much on social coordination as it did on sharp rocks. Deep family bonds and the ability to work as a single, cohesive unit were the only things preventing isolated bands from being erased by the elements. The firelight served as a classroom. Storytelling became the